Yeah, well, I just tell them, well, it's not major, minor, or augmented. I don't know whether that helps or not. Oh, I had one call it demented too. That's great. All right, well, I gotta go ahead and make, yeah. All right, Mike. See ya. Bye. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me. I'm Mark Mazzatenta, and I'm here to help strengthen your guitar skills. Today's topic is, how do I use diminished chords? So let me show you my fancy graphics here. Some triads. You see a major, minor, and a diminished triad there. Stacked thirds. And depending on the quality of the third, whether it's a major third or a minor third, gives you the type of chord that you see here. And the diminished chord is unique in that it's just all minor thirds stacked. If you look at the diminished seventh, you get a fourth minor third that's stacked on top of all of those. And that gives you an interesting sounding chord, which on the guitar ends up being a shape like this. Or a shape like this. Now this is labeled C diminished, which is what that little square is indicating. However, because all these notes are a minor third away from each other, it gives you this unique quality where you can call this not only C diminished, but you could call it F sharp diminished, or A diminished, or E flat diminished. Which is pretty cool. So because of that, look what you can do. Okay, you get this kind of repeating, inverting quality. I'll use the other shape. Okay, so if you take one of those diminished shapes and move it in either direction, 1, 2, 3 frets, you get the same 4 notes repeating. You can hear the tension. The neat sounding chord. So how is it used? Well, you'll often see it in a chord progression like this. C, D minor, G7, and that gets us back to C. So if I take those first two chords, a C major and a D minor, those roots are a whole step apart. Anytime I see that, I can fancy it up by inserting the diminished chord in between those. So now I'll have C, C sharp diminished, to D minor. G7, and we're back to C. C sharp diminished, D minor, G7. Now, I'll expand that a little bit. Okay, so I just kept continuing that idea of sticking a diminished seventh chord in between two more stable chords. Then I got this. C, C sharp diminished, D minor, D sharp diminished, up to E minor, and then you can get back to C, A7, D minor, G7, and we're back where we started. That's usually how you'll see it used, as a kind of spicy connector to two more stable chords. Now, here's another way to use the 4 notes in the diminished 7 chord as cool licks during an improvisation, for instance. And all it is the arpeggio. So I'm just speaking the 4 notes. In this case, it's a G sharp diminished, G sharp, B, D, F. Just speaking the notes of the diminished 7 one by one, and that's an arpeggio. Now, because of that repeating feature every 3 frets, I I can do the same finger pattern and just move it that interval. So here's the cool little formula. Whatever your 5/7 chord is, just go up half step and arpeggiate that diminished 7 chord. So if I'm in the key of C, my 5/7 is going to be G, G7 going to C. And over that G7, I can play resolves to C. Here's my G7. It's the 5/7 going to 1. So I can resolve that to either C major or C minor. In this case, I'll be using C minor. So. And all these sweep examples will be in a free PDF. You'll see the link in the description. Here's another one in 3/4 time. Remember, I'm using this over a G7 chord. And then here's one that's a little trickier. So now you know a lot more about diminished chords. And I'll see you at the next video.